What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the USC Trojans and what Paul Finebaum had a big take that kind of took over the Twitter realm on the show First Take. Paul Finebaum obviously is a big name in the SEC conference. He follows and covers the SEC better than anyone. You know, he's a pretty good figure in the college football realm. Everyone really knows of him, like him or not. Well, occasionally he goes on First Take to talk college football with Stephen A. Smith and a few other guys. And he did that as the media days for SEC and Big Ten were coming up. And he had a huge take on Lincoln Riley, and here it is.
Good first year, but since then, everything has gone wrong. I thought last year was one of the worst coaching jobs I have ever seen. Quite frankly, had I been the athletic director at Southern Cal, I would have fired Lincoln Riley because he's yet to show, after many years as a head coach, he knows anything about defense. He's gone through defensive coordinators. He just simply couldn't handle it. And now things are going to be 5 times worse in the Big Ten. On top of that, a number of his top players are bailing out. This is a guy who owned LA for about a half a minute.
The fact that the USC Trojans and Lincoln Riley in his career have not put together a good defense is very concerning, because I think most people would agree you cannot win a national championship that style. Listen, I remember a time a few years ago where Lincoln Riley was the hotbed of young head coaches that have the brightest future in the sport. And I do see what Paul Finebaum is saying, because this can turn to a really bad situation if they don't have a good year. Some big conversations are going to come up. And unfortunately for the USC Trojans, it's not going to work in their favor because that schedule is very tough. 10 media days were yesterday, and Lincoln Riley had a ton of quotes. And I'll show some videos of stuff that he said that really got people a little upset. And, you know, I don't think he chose the best words.
We are at the top of the Big Ten conference. I mean, we're at the top of any conference. I don't ever look at ourselves below anybody, and I never will. You know, listen, 2 years ago, look where Ohio State and Oregon were 2 years ago. You know, look what they took over. Look what we took over. You know, I mean, it takes time. You know, I'm not a magician. I can't wave a magic wand and everything just be perfect right away. But find one area that we had to make progress. So this thing's got momentum. It's coming. Nothing's going to stop it. That's fine. They started at a different point. You know, we'll see where it ends up.
There's just a lot of frustration because people are kind of sick of the same model of a really good offense and a really poor defense. I understand them, because I agree. Lincoln Riley has to figure it out, because the way that the model that he has working at USC is just not good enough. And we're not even talking about the recruiting and the transfer portal. Like, they really haven't done a good job. And they've brought some good players in from the portal, but in the prep level, Oregon has really dominated the school in recruiting, in football at least. It's kind of disappointing to see that, because California, USC should be the favorites to land all these California kids, but they're all wanting to play for Oregon. And I can't fault them, because Dan Lanning has it rolling up there. And I look at this USC team this year. What do I expect them to do? I don't really know. I don't think I expect them to be great. I mean, I think they have good skill position players. Miller Moss could give them the ball, then maybe they can do something. Like, if he could be productive as a quarterback, be a really good quarterback for them. Yeah, I'm not very high on USC this year, just because, like, I think they'll struggle in that asset of the quarterback play. They may not have the best quarterback in every game this year, which has been, you know, the big advantage they have. And, you know, you don't have a Caleb Williams to rely on, or a Jalen Hurts, or a Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, what Lincoln Riley has had. Because if you don't have those guys, I mean, those guys are so crucial to a Lincoln Riley team. It would be a clown show. It would be terrible for him and the USC Trojans. So I hope that Miller Moss is that guy for their sake, because if not, it's going to be a long season for them guys. USC has a good year, because the questions are never good, and I don't want anyone to lose their job, but it just hasn't been good enough for, especially last year. Last year it was not good in USC, and if they have a replica or worse, it could be real bad. Now, I'm looking at the odds by Vegas to win the Big Ten. They have Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, and USC. That's probably where I would have them. I mean, USC is the 5th team in this conference. And maybe some people are like, well, that's not that bad. But it is kind of disappointing because year 3 should be a established year taking a job. These guys on your team are mainly your players. So it's not a good look to be year 3, year 4 struggling because all the talent that you have is the talent that you brought in. So there's not the excuse of the roster overhaul or guys that you don't want there or anything like that. So they have to have a big year. I think in coaching, the year 3 in college football, year 4 is the biggest standpoint. I think coaches should get 3 years unless they are absolutely terrible. But I think if you show signs, I think a coach should get 3 to 4 years to prove yourself and build a roster to see if they're capable of winning a lot of football games. And USC, I just don't see how it will go well. I know Lincoln Riley probably wasn't happy with the move to the Big Ten for this reason. It looks like they aren't really ready. We talk about teams like Texas and Oklahoma, teams that may not be ready. I think Texas is. I think Oklahoma is really close. USC is far, far off, in my opinion, out of all those teams. Oregon, I think Oregon's right with Texas. I think they belong. UCLA probably not, but I mean they've been a gritty team like last year, so I think they can handle it. I don't think they'll be great this year though, but you see the trend though. It's not great. It's not great at all that they're this far behind. I really think they are absolutely not in the stable position to compete in the Big Ten, especially with the defensive line, the way that they play defense. I think they'll get pushed around by offensive lines, and hopefully their offensive line can hold up because they may get pushed around. I mean, this Big Ten, going to the Big Ten or the SEC is a lot different. You're facing some big human beings up front, so that's a big concern for me going into the season. And maybe we hear some bright stuff from the fall camp, who knows, but yeah, I don't like that part of it, that they kind of are very undersized on the defensive line and the offensive line. Do it for me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.